In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Khaula and Mark has covered just about everything, so it's time for questions.
And then now that the minute you have questions, you should be writing them down, by the way. We'll take them out. Just raise your hand. Let me read this.
Anyway, 1991. I've been here longer than I've lived in a place where I was born, Karachi, Pakistan. Birmingham Islamic Society was trying to close on a property in the south side, and I was sitting in the lawyer's office, and the lawyer, seemingly educated, made a statement. Islam is, to us, is nothing but a cult. And that, I was much younger, and I had to harness my anger, and was about to choke him. But I was able to harness my anger, and that became my jihad, my struggle to make an outreach and talk to people about Muslims. Moving fast forward, 1994, Mark mentioned the Oklahoma bombing. I was having my hip replacement surgery the day it happened, and the day after, me and my wife, children were alone with their grandfather at the house, and I got a call at the hospital, not from one of the Muslim community member, saying that they have received, at that time our mosque was in the south side near UAB, and they received a call that for every person who was killed in Oklahoma, they will kill 100 Muslims in Birmingham, for every person who was killed. And that, of course, was very, very stressful for my wife. The kids are alone, they know where you live. And the first person, now I'm going to say good things that are happening in our community and the things that are probably not that kosher. The first person I got a call from after getting out of the hospital regarding that particular hate statement, hate message that was left on our machine was from a lawyer of a Jewish faith. And he was running an organization, hate crime, or something similar to that. And we became, Birmingham Islamic Society at that time became became a member of that organization in order to combat the hate that we had not started yet to experience to the level that it is right now. 2011, right after 9/11, my son was at UAB and he received an email which was later on investigated to be coming from an old gentleman from Enterprise, Alabama. And that email said, and my son's name is Taufique. So I guess from Taufique he got that he's a Muslim. And he said, go back home. So my son comes home and says, where does he want me to go back to North Carolina? so that is the story of Muslims in Alabama as I have seen it develop. 1996, when there was a movie Siege came out, very anti-hate, anti-Islam, anti-Muslims. Don't ask me what was in that movie because I don't see it, my blood pressure goes up. So, and we had open house. And that open house at our Homewood Mosque brought about 7 people. Me and Farouk, most of you know, working in Interfaith, we had had food for more than 100 people, expecting that people would show up. 7 people showed up, 3 from Southeastern Bible College, husband and wife, and a baby. 3 professors or associate professors showed up from Birmingham, from Stanford University, from School of Nursing. And 2 Muslims showed up because they saw in the newspaper, they said, we didn't know there was a mosque here. So 7 people, 2 babies, and the Muslim couple had a baby also. So 7 people showed up. Immediately after 9/11, our open house brought more than 500 people at our Homewood Mosque. So at one time, at one place where we had that statement from an attorney, out of ignorance, maybe malicious to a certain extent, and then to the Charlie, the Paris attacks, the San Bernardino, and the Muslims in Alabama live between two extremes. One that of love, and a woman who leaves a jar of cookies, not in a sealed box, just living there without any note was under the cookie, and we called the police on her, only to find out that was, she had left that. She said, I couldn't just go there without leaving something for my Muslim neighbors. And on the other hand, a call at our center which says that, oh, I've got a lot of good pictures of Muhammad and I'm going to put them around your facility. So about 70 communications were received by Birmingham Islamic Society, email, personal visits, snail mail, the US mail, and out of those only 3 were that of hate. 3 were that of hate, and rest of them were that of compassion. This particular Charlie, the San Bernardino attack, and the growing presence of Muslims in the presidential debate has brought some of the people in this community who did not have too much community, some of the right-wing Christian community members, younger members of the right-wing, more conservative Christian communities. And I'm using the Christian liberal because they talk amongst themselves, this consistent Christian and liberal Christian, so I'm not labeling anybody, but it's just using the label that they use for themselves. And so we've got some young people who have come and visited our mosque and want to do projects together, and one of them made a statement to me. They said, well, a lot of people in our community are living in their holy holes, and so saying that, you know, they don't want to get out, there's no room for dialogue. And we have got an outreach from our Jewish community and Jewish friends, and we are also planning some community projects with them, knowing that we have got difference of opinion on certain international issues, and they are going to be there. But in Birmingham, where we are going to establish a community where we can work together. There's a lot of work to be done right here in Birmingham. Well, I've got a few more minutes left. So being Muslim in Alabama is sometimes not too much different than being Muslims anywhere in the country. A Muslim woman, and Khaula has mentioned many of them, but this was before Khaula even came to this town. There was a electric motor store in Center Point, Alabama. This was 4 or 5 years ago, before you started your job as ED at Care, Alabama. He had a sign on his marquee board, barbecue places are safe because there are no Muslims there. And as you know, Muslims do not eat pork, and therefore we are not in the barbecue place. And he was interviewed by the media, and media also interviewed us. And I made a statement that, you know, he probably has never met a Muslim in his life, and it would be good for me, I invite him. And the reporter conveyed that to this fellow, the owner in Center Point, Alabama, and he said, well, I'll be more than willing to meet with him. And I got hold of his phone number, and we talked. And I told him, I promise you I will not bring up the message that you left on that you had on your marquee board, but I would like to have lunch with you. Just let's sit down and talk. Maybe you will be entertained by the fact, by meeting a Muslim, you will be more engaged, you will be more knowledgeable, and you will not be making such statements. And he refused. He says no. And that brings me to my point that when Act for America that you mentioned somehow got hold of our, whatever they got hold of, and they wrote an email to a wide variety of people. one of which, right-winger, was my friend, and he forwarded the email to me. And it said that Birmingham Islamic Society is run by Sharia law, and therefore they must cease to exist. And when we saw that email, we thought that it would be appropriate for us to respond, and we responded. And the response was, there's nothing to talk about. We know who you are, and you know who you are, and therefore there is no room for dialogue. And when that happens, when we do not have dialogue, we just make assumptions about people, and that's a dangerous path we have taken, a path that has been created by making statements. If you're not with us, you're against us. And there's just only two ways of thinking. If you're not with us, you are against us. And it has become a passion for us to work on people in between. I said two extremes. But what scares me the most is the majority, the silent majority in between. And that is manifested by the fact that 83% people of Alabama voted for the anti-foreign bill, which started as an anti-Sharia. 83% of people, whereas all legal experts have said that ordinance that particular constitutional amendment does not mean anything. I had lost the link for today's event, so I wanted to invite some of my friends to tonight's event, and I put being Muslim in Alabama, and the first thing that came on Google, Alabama Muslims trying to implement Sharia law in Alabama. That's the first thing came up. And that is far from the truth. We cannot even implement Sharia in Pakistan. We have only implemented Sharia to a very, very limited extent in Saudi Arabia, wherever it serves the monarchies. And so to make statements like this is ludicrous, and that is the life of Muslim in Alabama.
Sorry, I would just say the last thing he said, that Saudi Arabia is not the example of what Sharia actually, connotates. So that is an extreme example of that, I guess, understanding.
And there's a selective implementation of Sharia where it serves the purpose of the kings.